So Matthew Vaughn has a brand new movie in theaters called Argylle, and we just got back from watching that. So we're going to tell you our full thoughts here in just a second.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
I'm a OG boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my seat, boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another iPopcorn for that review. I'm Chris.
I'm Nick.
And we are talking about Argylle. So I don't know how many Matthew Vaughn films you had seen leading up to this, but I'm a fan. I would consider myself a fan. Stardust, I think, is great. Kick-Ass, I think, is great. Days of Future Past is one of the good X-Men movies, I think, for sure. I haven't seen Layer Cake. I've heard nothing but good things about it. And then I haven't seen any of the Kingsman movies, which I know is the craziest one to not have seen because he's kind of most famous for those at this point. What have you seen of his stuff?
Yeah, I've seen all those besides Layer Cake as well, but I have seen all the Kingsman movies.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny that you haven't seen any of them going into this one, which is like very Kingsman-esque.
Sure. Yeah, I got those vibes just from what I know about the Kingsman movies and the trailers of those and everything. And speaking of trailers, first of all, just an aside here, but I've seen this trailer 100,000 times. It plays before like every movie you go see in theaters, so they're really aggressive about marketing this movie right now. And there's been this whole interesting thing with the rollout that I think there's better videos that you could look into to talk about that. But this has been an interesting thing because it's like based on a book, but the book just got released, and it's been a whole weird thing leading up to this. So they're trying some interesting things with the marketing here. To what degree they will be successful, we will see. But the marketing for this makes you very much think that this is a Henry Cavill vehicle. This is a Henry Cavill spy movie. And then you see the movie and you realize that it is like a character in a book. Like the trailer does give you enough of the story to know that we are dealing with a fictional world here with Henry Cavill and everything. But so tell us just like the basic story here.
I mean, you get it from the trailers. It's Bryce Dallas Howard's character is a writer who's written these Argylle series that are all about spy stories, and then Sam Rockwell shows up in her life one day when she's on a train. Turns out her stories have been predicting this whole thing that's been going on in the real spy world, and two different, like, he's there to help her, and then another spy organization's there to try to capture her so they can kind of figure out the next part of the story so they can get there first.
Yeah, they need her to write what's next, yeah. Which is an interesting enough setup for a movie. I mean, I kind of wish they hadn't given you that much in the trailer, but so from what we get, and it does make you think like maybe there's more truth to Argylle, the real Argylle, than there is. But it's a little bit tricky to. I think we are going to have to get into spoilers eventually because it's a little bit tricky to talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's seen the trailer, like that's the plot summary of the movie that you think it is. But let's go ahead and talk spoilers because.
Yeah, let's talk spoilers then, because it's out there. If you want to see it, I would not watch any further into this video.
But let's see. I guess the big reveal is that she wrote these novels, but it's stuff that actually happened. She lost her memory and was brainwashed. It kind of takes a little bit. No, I guess not entirely like the plot line of the Kingsman 2, because I think one of the characters in that loses his memory and is kind of brainwashed as well. But this is, I think this is done differently. She's recovering her memory, like writing these stories, and that's where they're trying to find this USB drive that she had that was gonna blow everything up for this one spy organization, the evil spy organization.
Yeah, and so that's the thing is I could see somebody thinking that, especially if you just look at the poster of this or something, or like the marketing around this, it feels so much like a Henry Cavill movie. It's very much the Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell movie for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Sam Rockwell. I think the little bit that I've seen from Bryce Dallas Howard, I like her in things for sure. But I could see somebody being disappointed that you don't get more Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill's in the first like 6 minutes, and then peppered in throughout. But this is not the Henry Cavill movie by any means. This is the Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell movie.
I mean, I did so there's a couple of scenes where she's writing, trying to remember before she knows that she was this spy. and
Mm-hmm.
they do pepper in like Henry Cavill and John Cena in those moments of her like riding
Mm-hmm.
it. That was pretty funny. And then the comedy
Yeah,
in the
I
movie
mean,
was really good. Like even towards the end where things were getting a little wild for me, it was still pretty funny enough to keep me in.
I gotta say, I mean, I hope I'm not a broken record over here, but like, I kind of thought maybe we were in trouble real early on in the movie because that first scene, as much as like I can get into the camp of it and the over the topness of it, and that's the point of it, and no problem. But like the action scenes and stuff, everything was just so. If it could possibly be CGI, it's very obviously CGI. Even like people on motorcycles are CGI, and like it just really took me out of it, man. It just doesn't look good on the screen, and I think the way this movie like looks in general, just like the color of the movie and like just the way it's shot, I don't think it looked good, which is weird. It kind of almost made me think it was going to look better in the trailer, just like all the colors kind of washed out of things, especially once we're in the real world and not in the fantasy world of this book. Well, let's not go too much longer. I'm curious to know because we don't talk about these things before we record, so. Do you like this movie overall? Do you not like it? Are you in the middle?
I liked it. I thought it was okay. I don't think it's better than the Kingsman movies. I think he did those better. I like the action scenes in this one. I think were good, except for the ones like the CGI parts that you're talking about. But like the fight scenes, I thought were good, and the gunplay stuff was fun. But yeah, the like super CGI cat for a ton of the movie, and like you said, the motorcycles was a little bit.
Yeah, the cat. I was worried about the cat just from the trailer, and it is
Yeah.
every time I thought it was going to be a CGI cat. It for sure is a CGI cat. Man, we're in an interesting situation because I don't like it
At all.
I don't like this movie.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, the tables have turned.
I
Yeah,
wonder if
I don't
you
know.
like the Kingsman then, because I would. That was one thing I was wondering too, is if this was going to take place in the Kingsman universe. Spoiler again, it does. Because there's a scene where they're sitting like at a park in England, and you see a can on the park bench or table, whatever, and it says Statesman. And in Kingsman 2, that's the like American version of the of the Kingsman is called the Statesman, and it looks like it's one of those like Jack and Coke pre-mixed drinks or something, and that's what they do. They sell whiskey to make money. And also,
Okay,
did you
so
see the?
I don't remember seeing that scene. But
Oh, really? It's
I
like where
guess
they're
I'm just
sitting in front of the
forgetting
big golden statue where she was supposed to meet up with the hacker guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was just like in the background, and since you haven't seen those movies, it's not something you would have noticed anyways.
Speaking of the hacker scene, like the last scene with the hacker, I just thought was like I found it comical for some reason. Just like the guy in the room, that there's nothing in the room except this like mega computer setup, and then he's just like comically spray painted anarchy stuff all over the walls. It's like such a stereotype, man. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's like textbook, and he's got the green hair. It just looks like out of something out of a movie of a different time period. But all that so let me say this. I can see somebody really liking this, but my problem is probably not what you would think. Which my problem is, I wish they had leaned into it all the way. I wish we had gone because by the end of the movie, it's so over the top what they're doing, like with the smoke and stuff like that. It makes for a cool visual, but like the ice skating on the oil and the smoke dance gun scene or whatever, that stuff is so goofy. But I wonder if it would have felt that way to me in a movie that was that way the whole time, and it was just like a comedy action movie, action spy movie. I almost think I wanted this to be full comedy at that point, or not have as much of that, because there's points of this where we are expected to take it pretty seriously. I felt like, and I don't know that I could do both of those things existing in one movie, taking it seriously like that, and the dance thing and the once she slams
bird move thing was ridiculous that they did like
the
3 or 4
whirly bird.
times.
Dude, please stop doing the whirly bird.
I had like a
and then
family right behind me during that too, with like a young child, and I'm just like, oh man, this is a bit much.
And then her slamming her boot down on the knife to make ice skates, and that working so perfectly. Oh my god. Woo!
I mean,
like, would that even work at all?
No, I mean, come on. The Kingsman movies were a little over top like that too, but I feel like they're done better. It's more, the comedy is a little less and the action's a little more, and it keeps you in the drama a little more, at least.
Yeah, I would like to see either one of those movies. Either the one that's just a little more straightforward, because some of the stuff, it's like, what was like I hate saying like what was the point when you talk about a movie because movies don't have to have like a point. There's none of these have a point really.
Mhm.
But like what was the point of some of this? Like what's the deal with the very over the top goofy looking hair on these people, especially
Oh,
Argyle
like Henry
himself.
Carvat. Yeah.
What's the deal with that? Or like there's other people in this that the whole person really doesn't get much to do. I think with who you were able to get, I think you could do more. Catherine O'Hara is the one that comes to mind first because I think Catherine O'Hara is a really funny comedian. She's been on a lot of good stuff, and in this, I don't know that she's really given the best stuff to work with. And once she switches to a British accent,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like her doing that.
I wouldn't have
And then even Bryan Cranston, I don't think I was getting the best stuff ever from him for some reason. Maybe it's just the script or something. It just felt like generic bad guy, and he's so Bryan Cranston, and we know him outside of I couldn't take myself out of the world and forget that this is Bryan Cranston. So when he comes off, when he's pretending to be a nice guy, it kind of just felt like Bryan Cranston being a nice guy, and you're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I guess I'm supposed to not like him. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't. I wasn't on the same wavelength as this thing, really, for the whole time. All that to say, I wasn't like miserable through this movie, and it's very long. It's too long.
Yeah,
But
during the end, I felt like it was getting a little long.
but I wasn't like writhing around in my seat miserable at this movie. It's just a bummer because I wanted it to be something that I didn't get quite out of it because it looked really unique, and I think it is still that. I don't want to take anything away from that part. It is something like you don't get a movie like this every day.
I was entertained
What do you-
enough throughout it. Like I enjoyed it for what it was. But yeah, I see where your complaints come from.
What do you think about Bryce Dallas Howard as the lead? How do you think she did?
Yeah, I thought she was okay.
I feel like she's a little bit hard to believe as a super spy.
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean
maybe
that was kind of the point of
I
her
guess it's
losing
been
her.
years.
Yeah, it's been like 5 years since she was
Mm-hmm.
like lost her memory or whatever, and she's this kind of like anxious person now instead of like some stone cold killer.
The problem for me is like not just not being able to picture her in that role, but like the role that she actually plays in this movie, because most of the movie we don't know that she is actually a spy, is this very neurotic, like ADHD, like millennial cat lover, whatever. And don't get me wrong, I'm a handful of those things myself, but like something about the way she plays that character is fairly annoying, sometimes very annoying. Like there's a scene on the train when she first interacts with Sam Rockwell where I'm like, if this was regular life and we don't know that you're switching between, like the whole thing with every time she blinks, it's like
Yeah,
he's
she
Sam
keeps
Rockwell and
seeing
then she blinks and he's
Henry Cavill.
Argyle, the
Yeah.
character Argyle. Like if this was real life, she's just over there like blinking like crazy and freaking out, and he's like, "Hey, do something! Like you got to get up and you got to whatever," and she's like, "Blink, blink, blink."
Yeah.
It's just made for a really strange thing. And then like the other thing is she bear hugs him. They make a big point of like, you got to bear hug me harder than you ever have. Bear hug me for your dear life, And then when she bear hugs him, what he's done is open this parachute, and they're parachuting out of the train. And then she passes out, and I was thinking, well, that would cause you to fall to your death.
But if you don't you probably didn't see when she bear hugs him, he like puts a strap behind her and stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Because I was thinking like that's a big hole if you have
Yeah.
to like hold on me as tight as you can, and then she passes out.
Yeah.
And then she's perfectly safe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to beat up on it too bad. There's other things we can talk about, but yeah, for me, I just kind of a miss for me. I'm glad people are taking this kind of swing and trying to do this like unique thing. Although if it does lead back ultimately to the Kingsman movies, then it's kind of like, oh man, do a new thing.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna tie it in, but did you see the post credits or mid credit scene?
I did not see anything
Okay.
past the screen going black and the tire,
Yeah, so
whatever it was.
The ending is confusing enough because it's like Henry Cavill at her like 5th book reading or whatever, and he's like some southern guy with a mullet and a dip in. But then after that, he's like, what about me? Or like, remember something? I don't know. We'll see what comes of that. But the mid credit scene, it's like a young guy. It says 20 years earlier or something like that. It's a young guy walking into like a pub that says The Kingsman. And he like walks up to the thing. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take something with a twist." And he's like, "Hold blah 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 blah, hold everything but the twist." And the guy's like, gives him a gun, and he's like, "What's your name?" And I can't remember what he says his first name is. It's something that starts with an A, it's some alliteration, but it's like something Argylle, and then that ends. So it's like, obviously it's in the same universe, but I don't know how he's gonna tie it in.
I don't like that. I think I mean, I know I speak from so little experience, but I think that whether you like or don't like the Kingsman movies, they should stand on their own, and this should be the beginning of a new thing. Because he wants to make like 4 of these.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how it'll turn out in reality, how much money this will make, and all that.
It didn't do well, I don't think. I mean, even like Saturday afternoon, I had, I think, fewer than 10 people in the IMAX theater. Like it was not a lot of people in there.
I didn't have a lot in mine either. I mean, more than some other movies I've seen recently, but yeah, we'll see how it pans out. I mean, it could be a movie that has legs. It depends on how the critics are not liking this. It looks like the audience is. It seems like it's going to be yet to be seen, but I think the audience is going to like this more than critics do. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it turns out. It could be something that like people word of mouth gets it some ticket sales. But yeah, they're intending to make multiple books, multiple movies. Like they intend to go forward with this, which is funny because it feels like it ends on a pretty hard end. From the perspective of somebody that walked out as soon as the movie went black, it feels like it's kind of like, and so she's like, because the lady in the audience is like, so you're writing, now that this is your last book and you're done writing stuff about this guy, like tell us what, which I thought was weird. It's like, tell us what's going to happen with him, and she's like, okay, well here's what happens with him, and I'm never gonna touch a pen again and write anything else.
Yeah.
Like, why am I going to give away my idea of what happens with these characters if I could one day? She's like 38. It looks like, 36. It's like, wait until you're 60 and you're, thinking about tapping back into that book money. I don't know. So unfortunately, not the movie for me. I'd give it like probably I'd probably give it a 5. What would you score this thing?
I give it like a 6.5. I liked it a little bit more than you did. I was engaged throughout it. I did feel like it ran a little long, and it did get a little goofy in some parts, but I think that's what he was going for. I am interested to see how it's going to tie into the Kingsman and all that, so I'll probably see the next one. I'm not going to read the books, but
I still want to see the Kingsman movies for sure. So if you like this kind of thing, hit like below. That helps our channel out a lot. And comment below if you've seen this movie, or tell us your favorite spy movies or favorite Matthew Vaughn movie. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.
We'll see it.
Thank you.